This was supposed to be a simple family brunch, but I ended up calling out my dad with a dessert plate in front of everyone. I'm the creative one in the family. I didn't follow a traditional career path, no corporate job, no fixed schedule, no clear ladder to climb. I freelance and create content. Some months are stable, others are unpredictable. It's not the kind of career my relatives can easily explain or boast about. My dad, on the other hand, is the opposite. He is practical, disciplined, and has spent decades building a stable career. To him, success is something measurable, steady income, long-term security, and clear progression. We have never had a direct argument about my choices. Instead, he expresses himself through what I can only describe as compliments. He often says things like, "It must be nice to have flexible hours," or "I admire your courage to pursue something so uncertain." He always smiles when he says it, and to everyone else, it sounds supportive. But to me, it has always felt like something else, like a quiet reminder that I am not living up to his definition of success. For years, I let it go. I laughed it off, changed the subject, and convinced myself I was being overly sensitive. I told myself that was just how he communicated. Until this brunch. It was one of those large family gatherings where everyone asks the same questions: what I do, whether it is stable, and if I have backup plans. By the time the main course ended, I was already emotionally exhausted. Then, right on cue, my dad raised his glass slightly and said, "I was just telling everyone how proud I am that you are still pursuing your passion project. It takes a lot of courage." There was polite laughter around the table. That word, "still," was what stayed with me. In that moment, something shifted. I didn't react immediately. Instead, I waited. When the server came to take dessert orders, I made a decision. I ordered a slice of chocolate cake and quietly asked if a short message could be written on the plate. I even tipped in advance, knowing I was about to make the situation uncomfortable. When the cake arrived, I didn't announce anything. I simply turned the plate and slid it toward my dad. Written in chocolate were the words, "Thanks for the compliment, Dad." The table fell silent. At first, he smiled, as if he thought I was joking, but when I didn't respond, his expression changed. He began to say, "Come on, I was just..." For the first time, I interrupted him. "No," I said calmly, "you were." I kept my tone even but deliberate. "But it's okay, I appreciate the support." Around us, people suddenly became very interested in their phones, their drinks, anything but the conversation unfolding at the table. The atmosphere shifted completely. My dad's smile disappeared. He looked at me more seriously than he ever had before, as if reassessing something he had long taken for granted. Then he leaned forward slightly, lowered his voice, and said something I hadn't expected, something that made me question whether I had misunderstood him all along. "Is that honestly what you think I've been doing all these years?" I thought calling him out would finally end it, but what he said next made everything worse. I didn't answer right away because I wasn't sure I wanted to. The table had gone quiet, not dramatic, not explosive, just heavy, the kind of silence where everyone pretends not to listen while catching every word. My dad didn't look angry, he looked confused, not defensive, not sarcastic, just confused, like I had accused him of something he didn't recognize. So I said it. "Yes, that's exactly what it feels like." My voice was steady, even if my chest wasn't. "Every time you say things like that, it sounds like you don't believe in what I'm doing." He leaned back, processing, then nodded slowly. "That's not what I meant." I almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because it felt predictable. "That's how it comes across," I replied. "It always has." Around us, the table shifted. My mom set her fork down. My aunt stopped scrolling. No one was pretending anymore. My dad placed his hands on the table, his tone calm but deliberate. "I say those things because I am proud of you," he said. "Do you know how hard it is to build something on your own without a safety net?" That caught me off guard. "Then why doesn't it ever sound like that?" He hesitated. I had never seen him hesitate before. "I don't know how to talk about it," he admitted. "It's not something I understand. Your world is different." There it was. "I spent my life trying to make sure you wouldn't have to struggle," he continued. "So when I see you choosing something unstable, I don't know if I should admire it or worry about you." That hit harder than I expected. Because suddenly, those compliments sounded different. Less like subtle digs, more like concern that didn't know how to translate itself. "So instead, you joke about it?" I asked. "I try to," he said quietly. because if I say what I'm actually thinking, I'm afraid it'll come out wrong. It already does, that hung in the air. The tension didn't disappear, but it changed. Less sharp, more complicated. My mom exhaled softly. I think you two have been misunderstanding each other for years. No one disagreed. I looked down at the dessert plate, the message slightly smudged. Thanks for the compliment, Dad. It no longer felt like a mic drop. It felt like a question. I looked back at him. So what are you actually trying to say? He held my gaze, something more vulnerable settling in his expression. Do you really want the honest answer? And the way he said it made me realize I might not be ready. I thought we had cleared the air, but his honest answer changed everything. For a moment, I considered backing out, letting it go, moving on, pretending this never happened, but I didn't. Yes, I said, I want the honest answer. There was a quiet shift, no turning back now. He studied me like he was measuring how much truth I could take, then he said it. I don't think what you're doing is sustainable. Not harsh, not loud, but it hit harder than anything else. I kept my voice steady. Okay, what else? I worry that one day you'll struggle, and you won't tell us, and by the time we realize, it'll be too late. That stung because part of me knew it was true. There had been months I never talked about. The quiet kind of struggle you hide behind optimism. I don't tell you, I said, because it feels like you're already expecting me to fail. I'm not, he said immediately. Then softer, I'm afraid you might. That knocked the air out of me. For years I had heard judgment, but this was fear. Misplaced, poorly expressed, but real. I wish you'd just say that, I said, instead of making those comments. I didn't think you'd hear it, he replied, not without thinking I was trying to control you. I let out a dry laugh. You mean like I just did? He smiled just a little, tired but honest. Yeah, like that. The tension eased, not gone but no longer suffocating. But now we were past the surface, past jokes and misunderstandings. Now we were here. So what do you want me to do? I asked. It wasn't defensive this time. I don't want you to stop, he said. I just want you to be prepared if it doesn't work. Reasonable, too reasonable. Prepared how? I asked. Backup plan, safety net. I crossed my arms slightly. And if I don't, he hesitated. This time it felt different. He glanced at my mom, then back at me, more resolved now. Then we need to talk about something I wasn't planning to bring up. My chest tightened. What do you mean? He exhaled. It's about the financial support we've been giving you. My stomach dropped, because suddenly this wasn't about jokes, or brunch, or even my career. I thought that was the moment everything would fall apart, but it turned out to be the moment things finally made sense. When he said financial support, I already knew, the quiet help, the transfers, the safety net I never fully acknowledged. So this is about money, I asked. It's about what the money represents, he said. That stopped me. I didn't want to bring it up like this, he continued, but it's part of why we've been misunderstanding each other. How? When I help you, I tell myself it's temporary, that you're building something, that I just need to support you until it stabilizes. I stayed quiet, but at the same time, he added, I start wondering if I'm helping you or holding you back. That wasn't what I expected. I never saw it that way, I admitted. To me, it felt like space, like I had room to figure things out. I wanted you to have that, he said. I just didn't know how to give it without feeling responsible for the outcome. Responsibility, that word settled between us. So when you make those comments, I said slowly, it's not because you think I'm failing. He shook his head. It's because I'm trying to convince myself you'll be okay. That changed everything. Not criticism, not disappointment, just someone unsure whether to trust or step in. I wish you said that sooner. I didn't think I knew how. I let out a small laugh. Yeah, that part was obvious. For the first time, the tension fully eased, not erased but understood. So what happens now? I asked. We adjust, he said. Clear boundaries. If I help, it's defined, and your path is yours, I don't undermine it. I nodded slowly. I can work with that. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. I looked down at the dessert plate again. Thanks for the compliment, Dad. This time, it felt different. Next time, I said, picking up my fork, maybe skip the sarcasm. He nodded. Next time I'll get it right. I took a bite of the cake. Finally. And for the first time that day, it tasted sweet. But even as the table returned to normal, as conversations picked back up like nothing had happened. Now that everything was clear, no misunderstandings, no hidden tension, no safety net left unspoken. If I removed it completely, would I still be able to stand on my own?